Hello children, I hope you are feeling happy and strong. Welcome to this special English hour where we will learn a lot of new things and have a lot of fun. My name is Pradnya and I am going to be your teacher. We will have a lot of fun and learn a lot of new things. If you like to do this, hop into this magical world of English with me. Now, let's learn some new words. You will see these words in the story when we read it. So I request you to listen to me carefully and make a note of these words in your notebooks. I will also request you to find out the meaning of these words when we read the story. Raga. 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 Shubham sang the Malhar Raga to make it rain. Courtyard. 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 There are small plants in my courtyard. Colony. Colony. There are many buildings in my colony. Rhythm. 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 Ramesh was dancing to the rhythm of the song. Blinked. 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 She blinked twice. I hope you remember these words when we read the story. Children, do you like listening to music? I love to listen to music. It is one of my favorite hobbies. It helps me relax and even concentrate. We have music for different types of moods and occasions. For certain moods, we have upbeat music. When we are happy, we love to listen to peppy music. When we are sad, we love to listen to mellow music. Along with this, every culture in our country represents music in different ways. Based on our geographical location, music also changes. For example, you may find that during festivals like Lohri, they use dhol. During festivals like Ganesh Chaturthi, they use dhol and tasha. In certain South Indian cultures, we also create music from earthen pots. This goes to prove that music does not have any limitations. It's a form of art that can be created through anything. The point is that it should reach your soul. संगीत हमारे जिंदगी में बहुत महत्व रखता है. हमारे जिंदगी में हर अवसर के लिए गाने होते हैं और इसी कारण हर अवसर हमारे लिए और आनंदमय बन जाता है. Now, let's read a story from our Bal Bharati textbook. Please open page number 18 of your textbook. I will read the story and I request you to point at the words as I read them. And if you don't have a textbook, listen to me carefully. मैं चाहती हूँ कि आप अपने बाल भारती टेक्स्ट बुक का 18वां पन्ना खोलिए. मैं ये कहानी आपके लिए पढ़ूंगी और मैं चाहती हूँ कि आप हर शब्द को अपने बुक में पॉइंट कीजिए. अगर आपके पास टेक्स्ट बुक नहीं है तो आप मुझे ध्यान से सुन सकते हैं. Revati's musical plants. Revati was a student of music. She was happy playing on her violin whenever she was free. There was a small open courtyard in front of her house with a small cement bench. She would sit on the bench and practice on her violin. There were a few potted plants in the courtyard. While playing on the violin, one day she noted a pot of balsam plants near the wall. The plants were not looking normal. They had pale green leaves and their growth was stunted. She remembered she had learned in the lower classes that plants need light for normal growth. She shifted the pot to the center of the courtyard where there was ample sunlight. While shifting the pot, an idea struck Revati. Why not participate in the best plant contest, which was to be held in her colony a few weeks later? Then and there, she decided to participate. Thus, making up her mind, she watered the plants and sat down on the bench and started playing her violin. She was very fond of the raga Mohanam. She played the raga for some time and then went in for her studies. Every day, Revati would sit on the bench and watch her potted plants. They were growing well and looking healthier than the other plants in the far end of the courtyard. One day, as she was playing, she noticed a movement in her potted plants. They were slowly moving their stems, bending slightly towards her. She wondered why they were moving as there was no breeze. It struck her as odd. The next evening too, she played on her violin as usual and watched the potted plants with care. After some time, like the previous day, there was a definite movement in her plants. They all bent towards her. This astonished and surprised her. That day also, there was no breeze. So children, this story is about Revati, who was a student studying music. She loved playing the violin. And can you tell me what was her favorite raga? Yes, her favorite raga was Mohanam. Revati would practice her violin in her courtyard. And one day she notices a pot of balsam. She sees that the balsam plant. One day Revati notices a pot of balsam plants and she notices that the plant is not receiving enough sunlight. So what does she do? She moves the plant to the center of the courtyard. While she was doing that, she gets an amazing idea. She decides to participate in the best plant contest. So, she decides to water the plants every day. She also plays her favorite raga in front of this plant. She notices that her plants were growing much better than the rest of the plants in the courtyard. One day, while Revati was playing her violin, the plant moved towards her. Revati sat on the bench and played a different tune, one with a quick rhythm. She suddenly saw all plants turn away from her as though they did not like what she was playing. Then she started playing her favorite tune again, and the plants slowly straightened themselves and bent towards her. Her surmise became a certainty. Her plants loved to hear her favorite tune. She kept the knowledge a secret. She did not tell anyone, not even her mother. There were only a few days left for the prize distribution. To her great surprise, Revati found her potted plants not only taller and healthier than other balsam plants, but that they had started flowering a few days earlier than the other plants. The flowers were big and brightly colored, and one of the plants had an unusual kind of flower. The flower were mauve with white stripes. That evening, she knew she would definitely get the prize for the best plants. She went to bed, dreaming of her plants and the new type of flowers. The next day was the all-important day. She got up in the morning and went straight to the courtyard to see her plants. Revati blinked for a few minutes, for there was neither the pot nor the plants. She looked to see if someone had moved the pot. She searched all over. She asked her mother. Her mother said she knew nothing either about the pot or the plants. Some of the neighbors had been to their house the previous afternoon and had remarked at the beautiful flowers and the healthy looking plants in the pot. But later she had been busy inside the house and had been not to the courtyard. Revati's grief knew no bounds. She went around asking every one of her neighbors, but no one had been anywhere near the pot of plants. She could not lodge a complaint for a pot of plants. She felt as though everything was lost. She did not mind not getting the prize, but she really missed her plants. She had grown very fond of them. They were her friends who enjoyed her music. Next time, Revati plans to play a different tune. This tune had a quick rhythm. And what does she see? This time, the plants were turning away from her. Then she switches back to her favorite tune, and the plants now again moved towards her. She realized that her favorite tunes was also liked by her plants. She was surprised to see her plants were taller and healthier than all the other plants. She knew that she was definitely going to win this competition. Her plants had also started to flower earlier than the other plants, and she notices that one of the plants had a very unusual flower. This flower was mauve and it had white stripes. But something happens the next day. Revati finds out that her plants are missing and she cannot find them anywhere. That evening, all her friends were going to the prize distribution ceremony. She did not want to attend, but her friends forced her to. After reaching the place, she went to the benches where the potted plants were displayed. Revati was shocked. There was her pot of plants on a bench with the name of a distant neighbor of hers as the competitor written on a small piece of cardboard and placed in the soil. She knew it was her pot of plants. She went to the organizers of the show and told them about it. The organizers were not convinced. They said, "How can you prove that the plants are yours? The lady who submitted them is a regular participant. How can we doubt her?" Revati wondered how to convince them. She sat there for a few minutes looking at the plants. The sight of the plants bending towards her while she played her violin flashed across her mind. She told the organizers that she could prove the plants were hers. She ran home. When she returned a few minutes later with her violin in, they started laughing. But their ridicule did not deter her from her mission. She told them, "I know my plants and I share a secret with them. My plants are music lovers like me, and you could see how they respond when I play to them." They all laughed louder, saying that they had never heard of plants enjoying music. They asked her, "Do plants have ears like us to enjoy your music?" No one believed her. When Revati went to the competition, she finds her potted balsam. This balsam was placed under the name of a distant neighbor as a competitor. She went to the organizers of the show and told them about it, but they were not convinced. So she decided to play her violin. She felt very dejected, but was determined to win her plants back. She sat near her plants with her violin and slowly started playing her favorite raga. Engrossed in her music, Revati even forgot about her plants for a time. But the others could not. With wonder in their eyes, they watched the plants. Straight at first, they bent slightly. As she played on and on, their stem bent towards Revati as though they wanted to touch her in their happiness. The organizers were stunned. They had watched a new phenomenon of plants responding to music, and Revati had become a great discoverer. They all applauded her and said they were convinced that the plants were hers. They pulled her neighbor up for cheating them, and she accepted after a long argument that she had stolen Revati's plants. She said while walking past Revati's house, she had spotted the plants and had removed the pot in the night to her house and submitted it later for the contest. As she was a regular participant, no one doubted her. The authorities decided that Revati's plants deserved the first prize as they were the best looking and healthy. Revati carried home the prize proudly with her pot of plants. When Revati was playing her favorite raga on the violin, the plants started to move closer to her. It seemed that the plants wanted to touch her in their happiness. This phenomena made Revati a great discoverer, and she stunned the organizers. Everyone was then convinced that the potted balsam were her plants. And what happened to Revati's neighbor? Her neighbor was pulled up for cheating, and she confessed that she, in fact, had moved the plants from Revati's house to hers in the night. Did Revati win the first prize? Yes, she won the first prize and carried her pot of plants home. Now, let's do a fun activity. This activity is about types of sentences. Let's have a look at it. Revati was a student of music. The flowers were big and brightly colored indeed. They were requested to believe her. All these sentences are statements or assertions, which is why these statements are called assertive sentences or declarative sentences. Now, let's move forward. The next sentences are: wasn't Revati a student of music? How can we doubt her? Do plants have ears? The sentences that we just saw were questions. These type of sentences are called interrogative sentences. Now, let's have a look at some more sentences. Please believe me. Let us watch the fun. Sit straight. Excuse me. The sentences that we just saw were either requests, appeals, commands, or suggestions. Such sentences are called imperative sentences. Now, let's have a look at a few more sentences. How big and bright the flowers were. What a surprise! Ah, what beautiful music that is. These sentences had strong expressions and feelings. These type of sentences are called exclamatory sentences. Now, you will see a few sentences on your screen. What you need to do is write down which type of sentences these are. For example, the first sentence says, how happily she played violin. This is an exclamatory sentence. Now, let's try to find out what the other types of sentences are. Let's have a look at the answers now. The first statement was, how happily she played the violin. This was an exclamatory sentence. The second sentence was, they all bent towards her. This was an assertive sentence. The third sentence was, don't play that quick tune. This was an imperative sentence. The next sentence was, she kept the knowledge a secret. This was an assertive type of sentence. The fifth sentence was, how can plants enjoy music? And this was an interrogative type of sentence. I hope you enjoyed the previous activity. Now, let's make this activity a little more interesting. You have to create 2 sentences out of each type of sentences. That is, assertive, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. Sounds easy? Let's give it a try. Alright, let's check out the sentences on assertive, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory. Assertive sentences are, peacock is a beautiful bird. They won the football match. Now, let's move to imperative sentences. Kindly show me your book. Shut the door at night. Now, let's have a look at interrogative sentences. Did you have your dinner? Where were you last night? These are interrogative sentences. Now, let's have a look at exclamatory sentences are, hooray! We won the match! Wow! What a beautiful dress! I hope you enjoyed today's session and I will see you in our next session. Until then, take care and stay safe. Bye!